Hey, good afternoon, my crypto trading friends. I thought I'd put out one more quick video here on this Friday afternoon before we head into the weekend, just to let you know where we're at and what I'm thinking. Um, right now, it's all about Putin versus Biden, right? That Ukraine territory is important, and uh, in my mind, this is all posturing, gesturing. I don't think anything's going to come of it. And I say that because my sources tell me that Putin has some stuff that he can use as leverage, blackmail, some people might call it. And so, whereas in the past, the U.S. was predominantly the aggressive force, they would take the action under the guise of defense, of course. They're protecting everybody, or they're helping countries become democratic. Um, Now, the case is, I think Putin has the upper hand. All right, so I really doubt that the U.S. is going to do anything here, and I don't think Russia's going to do anything. They're just posturing. They're waiting for the U.S. to make the first move. Will the U.S. make the first move? I don't think so because my sources tell me that Putin has a whole lot of shit on Biden. All right, and Biden definitely doesn't want that to be released to the public. All right. So, anyways, this is the uncertainty, the big priority number one, FUD on our markets recently. Now, I talked yesterday about uh, the Canadian trucker protests and the uncertainty that that whole government is causing by freezing people's bank accounts. Bank accounts went black yesterday for 3 hours. Protesters' bank accounts they're having their assets frozen, and those who supported the protesters are having their assets frozen. Guys, this is the whole reason why Satoshi Nakamoto and company, and I say and company because it was about three or four guys in Japan, according to my sources, that created this whole thing. This is the reason why it was created. This is the philosophy, was to get away from these centralized institutions and platforms which censor uh, free speech, free action, truth, etc., etc. All right. So this is where you have Bitcoin. All right, and I think over the long term, I insinuated this, at least implied that over the long, overarching macroeconomic outlook, this will bode well for cryptocurrency, especially DeFi. And when I say DeFi, I'm not talking about Coinbase. Coinbase is just another bank. The government can take over Coinbase and freeze your assets just like they could in your own bank account. All right, so that is not DeFi. If you don't own the key, you don't own the coin. So you have to have your own key, you have to have your own wallet, and you can do that in DeFi as well. So I think over the long term, this bodes well for cryptocurrency. Um, so, anyways, let's get back to what's happening on our charts here, especially with the dollar. Um, I went off on a little bit of a rant there, but this is all the uncertainty that is taking place globally, and we see it as people. That is causing us to scratch our heads. It's causing confusion. It's causing doubt and fear and uncertainty. All right, this is all what is causing our VIX to spike and the markets to decline. So onwards to our charts here, and let's see what we have. All right, so we have here, I've drawn a little bit of a triangle. Don't know whether this is going to play out, but it looks like the dollar is growing stronger and has hit its head here on this area of confluence. And that's to be expected. I wouldn't expect us to break straight through that. But I do think that this pattern here is bullish. It's a bullish triangle. And it indicates, in fact, I could probably just take this measurement here, which I drew from my last triangle target. Sure enough, it's the same thing. And if we break out here on Monday, I think the dollar will only continue to strengthen. We'll get back above that red ascending trend line, and so the dollar will continue to strengthen as it grows stronger. That inflationary variable is extracted from the market prices. Okay, so then we have the VIX here. VIX is also forming somewhat of a bull flag here. All right, and bull flag on the VIX is not good. This is fear. This is a measurement of fear. All right, so we can expect this VIX to continue to spike. And guys, what happens when the VIX and the dollar go up at the same time? The indexes go down, right? I've said this many times. So right now we have the Dow Jones hitting some support, but it has definitely fallen under a significant area. This is a neckline from kind of a head and shoulders pattern-ish, but not really. Either way, it's a significant trend line we've broken below. We found support here. Doesn't mean we're going to remain there. I expect on Monday the selling will resume. And it looks like SPY found support too. NASDAQ, of course, would have closed right in the middle of our support. The epitome of the uncertainty that our market now faces, not knowing whether we're going to go up or down. And when there is that uncertainty, you can just bank on down. All right. That's probably what will take place. Now, all of this, guys, on all of these charts, we see these big old bear flags. And that's what they all are looking like. All right. Now, over to crypto, because that's where our story begins. We are kind of seeing the same thing with these big old bear flags. However, I've been positively surprised at how strong crypto has remained. We did break below a significant ascending trend line of support here, and so that's something to keep our eyes on. It does mean that we will probably have a few days of selling here, but there is significant support underneath us, and I will show you that on the Bitcoin chart again. Ethereum dropping more rapidly under this, again, line of support, and is now become resistance, and probably will no longer be significant in the future, but I'll keep it there for the next few days. And Bitcoin is what I want to talk about here. So we broke actually through, let's count this up, guys. I counted this before in yesterday's video, but we had a line of support we broke through here, this purple ascending line, the 50-day, the 20-day, the descending purple line, and this support. This whole candle right here broke through all 6 of those in one day. Powerful bear movement, all right? But does that zap their strength? I don't know. Remains to be seen. What I expect is we will come back down and touch this ascending black line a second time. Remember, this is powerful support here. It would literally probably take war in Ukraine for us to drop below that. So if Bitcoin drops below this black line before we actually have declaration of war, that's an indication we will have war. If we remain above it, it's an indication that what my current theory is might be correct, that this is all posturing. Putin has the upper hand. Biden just, he's a non-factor, all right? He's not important at this point, all right? So the real story is being told here on the Bitcoin dominance chart, actually. And I know we dropped below this purple ascending trend line. That was a steep trend line anyways. I was expecting us to drop below it soon at some point regardless. But what I am seeing here is somewhat of a descending wedge, which is a bullish pattern in an uptrend. And we have a bullish candle today. And we are above the 200-day, which is coming down here. We're fighting with previous resistance, previous support, which is now resistance. But I expect over the next few days we break out and kind of more, less of an incline on our uprise. But we'll come back into this whole territory here. And Bitcoin will remain dominant. So this is actually our leading indicator at this point. I think Bitcoin dominance is telling us more than any of these other charts what is going to take place. If Bitcoin remains dominant, then that bodes well for all of crypto eventually. Bitcoin is the big dog, it is the leader. And so I'm hoping, and the charts are telling me, that will pop back up into this area. Now, it might be a lot of sideways movement over into the March time frame, which makes perfect sense with everything that's going on. But I'm really optimistic so far about Bitcoin. I don't see us dropping below this black ascending line down into this territory unless I'm wrong. This is not posturing. And these children, these sophomoric plays that are at work between these imbeciles, and sorry, I lack respect for authority. I apologize for that. I don't know why. Why would I lack respect for our authority? But anyways, these misanthropic so-called authoritarian figures that we have in place, they're just playing games right now. We are the pawns, unfortunately, and unfortunately they own the monopoly on violence and can utilize us for whatever they want until the collective stands up, the people stand up for their rights and say, hey, we are actually the government. We want our freedom. We want to be left alone. We don't want these systems that censor and control and manipulate and use violence and etc., etc. And we can enter that stage of reality if we so choose. We just have to choose. And personally, I believe that all these things that we're seeing at a global level, the silver lining in everything that we're seeing is that they can be utilized to kind of, I know people say wake up. I guess that's probably the best analogy. It's to help illuminate the minds of people that are so apathetic, passive, and just not kind of in a state of psychosis, really, mass psychosis. We're seeing a lot of people who just they just don't understand what reality is. They believe reality is one thing, and it's what they're being told reality is. And the reality is we are not divided people. The reality is most of us all want the same thing. We all want our rights. We all want our freedoms. We want to be left alone. We don't want other people to stick a gun to our heads and tell us what we have to do with our money, that being the government who owns the monopoly on violence, and can stick the gun to your head and say, hey, give me your money out of your wallet. That comes in the form of taxes. And I'm not saying taxes overall are bad. I'm just saying government has a lot of power these days because we, the people, have allowed that. Power, just like a river, flows. River flows downstream and takes the path of least resistance. Power flows upstream. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And power will continue to flow upstream until we put that dam, we the people, stand up and protest and say, hey, no, we don't want this. Because we are the government, there are more of us people, us lowly plebes and, degenerates. There are more of us than there are the high elite angelic powers of government. All right, these people that are supposed to be sanctified, and you can't say anything unholy towards them. You can't blaspheme them because they're to be respected. These children that rule us have to at some point be stopped, or they will destroy us all. They will destroy humanity. And that is, I truly believe that. All right. So what we're seeing globally take place can be stopped. It can be. We just have to put that dam up via protest, via movements, whatever it be. We, the people, are the power, And once we do that, then that power that is flowing to the top and corrupting absolutely the people at the top, the global elitists, the authoritarian regimes, the fascist, the plutocracy, the aristocracy, all these terms that we use to um, label power hungry individuals who I suppose are, I shouldn't say I suppose, who are still humans but have just come under the guise and the greed of money and power and everything else. We can stop all that. And cryptocurrency is one way. So I remain highly optimistic about the future of blockchain and cryptocurrency because of everything we are seeing. Just like everything in our dualistic reality, there is a black and there is a white because this is just the reality that we live in. And there's shades of gray in between. And that's what all the politics is, right? So my perspective might, of how to obtain our freedom might disagree with somebody else's perspective on how to obtain freedom. But what we're all after is freedom and our rights, all right? And so we have to set aside this thing called partisan politics, which is dividing us. And I said this yesterday. I don't like to talk about liberal versus conservative because those terms have been flipped upside down. And so what we call liberal today is actually the truest form of conservatism in the classical sense that you can possibly think. Because a conservative, that term means we want to maintain the power structures, or we want to maintain the structures and the systems that have been in place because we think they do good for the people, all right? And if you see the systems that are in place and you think, well, they could be changed, or there's some way we can restructure this, that actually made you a liberal in the classical term, the classical understanding of the terminology, but they've been flipped upside down today to support a narrative which I believe is an illusion, that we are all divided. We are not all divided. We are all united. We all want the same thing. We all want freedom. We want our rights. And we really, by and large, just want to be left alone by those that own the monopoly on violence. All right? So, with that rant, everything that we're seeing on a global level today, I'm highly optimistic about. When I see Trudeau enact powers that that have never been enacted before in Canada, when I see frozen bank accounts, when I see people's wallets being affected, I know that is you can poke the bear with your finger, you can poke the bear with a hot iron. When you start dipping into people's money and messing with people's money, you're at a new level of poking the bear. And I think at that point, you are poking the bear with a hot iron. And this will only speed up our adoption of cryptocurrency, especially DeFi, and owning your own wallets, owning your own keys. So, all the rant aside, Bitcoin dominance is telling us that Bitcoin will remain strong. Even strong could mean that it's just going sideways, all right? So how exactly it remains strong, I don't know. It could continue to rise. It could just go sideways. But either way, it will remain the dominant lead dog. And that is a good thing. And I believe with everything we're seeing on a global level, all of the events, they are only forcing the adoption, the mass adoption of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. That is all I have for this Friday. Sorry for all the rants. I hope you enjoyed it anyways. Take care, guys, and I'll see you all next week. All right, let me stop this one.